Good evening, YouTube. This is Kaylin String coming at you with my regular Sunday night dinner. And it appears I'm still having issues with adding a thumbnail from my phone, which is what I stream with. So what I am doing is afterwards I will put the thumbnail in it, which always shows the ration that I'm reviewing. And I'm also trying to pull up the stream on my chat, or for the chat on my tablet. And it takes me a while to get that to come up because I'm refreshing, but I'm pulling it up now. I put it up on the tablet, that way it makes it easier for me to read since my phone is above my table. I'm clearing an ad. So what I got today is a Sopacko menu 13 cheese tortellini. It'll be the first menu out of case B. But there was no date code stamped or impressed. So whoever had this before me or somewhere down the line wrote the date code of 9034 with the letter A, so I'm not sure what that A stands for. It's probably some kind of a tracking thing. So this would be 2019. If it were 2009, the bag style would be completely different than it is now. So I'll see if this peelable seal will work. I'm doing it off camera because I'm actually holding the bag in between my knees. And it looks like I was going to put my thumb through it. So I'm going to go to plan B. My little blade all nicely cleaned up after dealing with those OOOps jam and apple paste packagings that you literally had to cut open to get into them. And it appears there are boxes inside here. I felt boxes, so this is very odd. So this in fact could be a 2009. This could be the first of this type of bag style where they had 3 different options for the bag design. I'm going to get these 2 boxes out here first. It says cheese tortellini in tomato sauce. And it has all the nutritional information on here, plus other stuff that you used to see on these boxes and you sometimes see on the heater sleeves. And there's, in fact, 2 of them in here. Now this is a true oddity. This one has a date code of 9008. Identical date code on this one. There's waffles in the house. Booger button are here. How odd would you find 2 of the same entree in the one ration bag? I'm going to set those aside, pull the rest of the stuff out. No wonder this thing felt kind of thick. Got crackers. 9023 is the date code on that. So I put 2019 in the title, but this could definitely be 2009. It has the green matches. 9037 is the date code on the accessory pack, and it has spiced cider in there. There's the FRH. '8325 is the date code on the FRH. Got the beverage bag. Which is not as good as the Canadian bags. You hardly see those in the MREs these days. This is another item you don't often see, chunky peanut butter. And this is the older packaging style for this peanut butter. This is 1.5 ounce packet, so I may be changing this date code on, or the date on the title when I go to put the thumbnail in. The standard spoon. The packaging for this has changed over the years to more crunchier type of plastic. Peanut M&Ms. Let's see how those held up. And apple cinnamon first strike bar. And the stripe on here is actually red. I've seen these orange going across where apple cinnamon flavor is. '9012 is the date code on that. So that is everything in this possibly 2009 cheese tortellini. I am curious if anyone has ever had a US MRE where it had duplicate of the main entree. I'll get into this accessory packet and see what is inside here. I'm just going to use the blade again because I feel like cheating with this thing. Oh, there's one more thing inside the ration bag that I missed. And that was the stick lemonade beverage powder that you would normally put into a larger size water bottle, but that will be going into the drinking jar. And this is a spiced cider. So instead of a coffee, got the spiced cider. So there's no coffee. There's a seasoning blend, salt-free. Plus the salt. If I were using the FRH, I'd be throwing that salt in there. And these matches are the dark green red chip made by Dee Bean and Sons. These matches will go into my stash of matches. Got cinnamon gum. The red on one side indicates cinnamon, and one of these pieces looks like it took a bit of a knock. At the wet wipe, rear roll, which does not have the dark or the black stripe across it like they do now, so this definitely confirms this is a 2009 instead of a 2019. So because there is no cheese spread in here, I got some parm for my kitchen. There's Emphas in the house. Let's see how this cider powder has held up. That looks really good. It's a very fine powder. Smells good. Because these stick drink powders are are sugar free, they do not take anywhere near as long to mix. I like mixing these a bit strong anyway. Again, to show you what came out of the bag, 2 cheese tortellinis. I'm actually going to open up both of these boxes because I want to look at both retort pouches. There's pouch number 1, 9008 date code. This box got squished the most. They did away with these boxes after like 2013, 2014. Again, same date code of 9008. And also the difference between then and now, the tear notches go across this way. You have 2, an upper and a lower. But both of these pouches look like they're in great shape. Although this one seems to have more of a tighter, maybe a vacuum seal on this one more than this one. Tim Riley in the house. So again, 2 cheese tortellinis out of here. I don't know if I should go ahead and heat up both or just eat one and save the other. Actually, this one here does look like it might have a bit of delamination going on. Yeah, I don't like it either. It tends to, if I consume enough of it, at one time it does tend to do some stuff that I don't like. I'll just put it that way. Yeah, this is very odd to get 2 entrees. I don't know if this was just an absolute oops, that 2 of these somehow slid into that ration bag, or if something else was supposed to go in here besides the cheese tortellini, but another cheese tortellini fell in, and then the bag just got sealed and never quality checked. Crackers did get a bit bent, so I don't know how it'll be to put the peanut butter on them. So I'm only going to heat up one of these. I'm going to heat up this one. This one that's in the slightly better condition. I'll actually save it, and then it'll go into my stash of entrees. I just might eat this one myself at a later time for just a quick dinner. But I'm going to go ahead and put this in water to heat up, and then I will bring back the hot water for my cider mix. Again, something the ration packers need to bring back. This will look very, very dark because I am using my Germs MRE mug. I bring it up in my spork, you can see the actual color of it. Yeah, make substitutions, but this is the first time a substitution has been done with 2 entrees. I've had doubles of small items such as 2 sugars or 2 salts when there's only supposed to be 1, or like 2 jams or 2, something like that. But this is the first time I have seen 2 of the same entree come out of what is supposed to be a single meal ration, so I just find it odd. Huh. That's really odd. I'm going to open up these crackers, see if we can get a hiss out of it. Nope. Didn't get a hiss out of it. Sorry about the shaking, but I wanted to bring it up to the mic to see if it would hiss at us. Oh, yep. These are going to come out busted. These are very, very fragile, as you can tell from being bent. I'm just going to put some of the rest of these pieces down here. Sometimes these had a tendency to just literally get stuck, or the vacuum was put so tight that it literally fused to the cracker. At one time, MRE store had that big issue with that. I'm looking at the back of the M&Ms. There's a code of 849 CSCLV1. That is definitely not a date code. I'm looking elsewhere on here. I see some other codes. I'm not seeing what would be recognizable as a date code unless they're dropping a digit. None of them were broken. None of them appear to have been knocked around. Because it's not worth trying to put peanut butter on these cracker pieces, which would continue to fall apart. I may actually well, that didn't work so well. I'm trying to open the first strike bar. I'll try it from the other end, see if I can get a better rip on it. There we go. That is the apple cinnamon first strike bar. This is my least favorite of the first strike bars. To me, it has a different taste, texture than the other three flavors. It has more of a cereal bar type texture inside of this. It's still got a good apple cinnamon scent to it. But anyway, I'm going to go get the cheese tortellini and I'll be right back. I am back. This is just a dome lid from my regular everyday cookware here at home. It makes a great carrier for my entrees from the kitchen. It's got a paper towel to dry it off so it's easier to handle. And it looks like the bag did delaminate. So it looks like this one is going to be a no-go. I went ahead and put the other one into the pot and I turned the burner back on. But so this is the top outer layer, and then there's a foil lined, and then inside that would be the clear. And this is the bottom, so I'm not going to flip that, just try to open it. What I am going to do I'm going to switch to the scissors And I'm just going to cut this across here, and I'm leaving it in this thing. I'm not getting much of a smell off of it. I am switching. I'm going to empty this into this bowl. I will not be putting my spork in it to get it out. I stuffed that empty pouch. So again, this is from the pouch that delaminated. Just gonna clean this up a bit with this paper towel. Yeah, this one's going to be a bit longer to go through, but it is what it is. So I am going to go, what I'll do with this, again, I'm not getting much of a smell off of it. It's not a bad smell, but nevertheless, I'm going to go put this in the fridge for now, just this bowl like this, and then I'll deal with it later on after it cools. I'll probably just dump it into a Ziploc bag and put it in the trash. I don't like to waste food, but this pouch may have been compromised. I am back with the other pouch, the one that looked in better shape that I thought maybe I'll save that one for a later time, but since that other one delaminated, see, this one looks a whole lot better. Again, the tear notch goes across this way. Actually, I may just go ahead and cut it because that is slick. Yeah, this. This one smells better. It actually smells like a tomato sauce. Spicy tuna rolls is here. Now, for those who will be going back to look at the replay, what you will see when I first open the bag is 2 cheese tortellinis come out, and this is now I determined as a 2009, and apparently this bag style is just coming into use over the previous bag style. Piece of the pasta went over where my for strike bar is. I just got a bit of onion. And also for those just tuning in, you will only see my profile picture as a thumbnail because I am having issues with setting the thumbnail on my phone for my streams. I did communicate with a YouTube rep via chat, and the rep suggested I do a screen capture. I do not have that feature automatically installed in my phone, so I had to find an app. What happens is I tried uploading a picture, which is usually the ration, a picture of the ration itself that I have saved from my my postings, uploading that, and then but instead of saving it and letting me continue with my stream setup, and it just kicks out of the stream start. I'm back to just the regular YouTube. What would be the home, instead of just going, not even going back to my channel, but just to the YouTube homepage. So tonight I also tried doing a capture where I would just take a picture instead of uploading. It did the same thing. So, but I can add the thumbnail afterwards when I go to edit the title. So again, I will have to change it 2019 to 2009. And then I will add in the description that 2 cheese tortellinis came out of the bag, and that they're both in the boxes, and one was compromised. Of course, as I did with any pasta dish, I like my parm. You can never have too much cheese on these things. But the tortellini itself, out of this pouch, it's fine. Old Smoky is here. I hope you're doing okay. Yeah, it's definitely an upgrade. It adds to the flavor. It adds to the savoriness. But the herb flavor and actual bits of onion in here, and maybe even garlic bits, yeah, I do like that. I'm still surprised by the fact that this had 2 of these in there. I know this is a Sopacko packed bag. The date code was just written on with a marker. It wasn't impressed. It was not ink stamped. And this is the 1.5 ounce peanut butter. There is an impressed date code there. Not on the bag like what you would expect from Sopacko. So there's another miss on their part. And when I tried to use the peelable seal, I started to poke a hole through the bag itself instead of splitting the seal open. So I ended up having to cut it. But this oddity has been forever documented. As long as my content stays up on YouTube, it will be there for all the world to see that in 2009, in February, 2 cheese tortellinis got stuffed into that bag. But these crackers obviously did not survive the trip, so there's no way I'm going to be able to put the peanut butter on there. Again, this is chunky peanut butter, something you don't see very often in the MREs. And this is the menu 14, as it was in 2009. No, menu 13, sorry. Peanut M&Ms. This is the apple cider. absolutely delicious. I was hoping for coffee, but to get the apple cider, oh heck yeah. And this is the sugar-free lemonade that you would normally put into a 500 ml bottle, or basically just a tad over a pint. But my drinking jar maxes out at 13 ounces. And I like mixing these a bit strong anyway. Yeah, I thought it felt a little bit thick. And when I thought this was a 2019 because of this bag style, I guess this might have been a transition to this style back then. So now I think of 2008 was still in the older bag style with the smaller text. And, you know, just looked a little bit more sparse. That's what made me think it was a 2019. But because boxes came out, wow, that's got to be a 2009 because the boxes were gone in like 2014 or something like that. No, this is the only one. This was sent to me by, I don't remember who sent this one in, but it was in a bigger box of stuff, of other rations. So I don't know who sent it in, but I have the apple cinnamon for Strike Bar. I got the M&Ms. Yeah, like I said earlier, it could have been just an absolute oops on the packing line when the retorts were thrown into the boxes, and then when the boxes were slid into the bag. This spiced cider got the apple cinnamon for Strike Bar. And it still has decent flavor. It's a bit sticky being that it's humid in here. Prepper for the Ages and Survival Empire have come in. Yeah, had missing items in a few MREs, and had duplicates of smaller items. For instance, say, like out of one you might get 2 salts or 2 sugars or 2 gums or whatever. But to have 2 entrees in one, this is the first I've seen of it, and now it has been documented on my channel, so yeah, it is odd. So quality control is definitely lacking. Yeah, that's the way to mix these a little bit stronger. Of course, if you need to stretch it out a little bit, you can go ahead and use the recommended amount of water, but I'm not the only one who likes to mix these a bit strong because I want to get the real flavor of it. But I'm very happy with this one. The other one, after when it delaminated, I opened it up into a bowl. And the smell was just dull. I didn't get much of a smell off of it. So what I ended up doing was, for a time saver, I threw the second retort pouch into the pot, turned the stove back on to heat it up. Then I put that bowl with that other one in the fridge, and what I'll end up doing is I'll probably just empty it into a Ziploc bag and put it in the trash. Now for these crackers, see how well they look. They're just too fragile to try to put any of the peanut butter on. They smell a bit stale. Oops. Get that bit out of there. Tried to pick up the small piece just to take a bite of it by itself. No flavor whatsoever. It doesn't taste greasy or rancid, so they definitely held up as far as that goes, but just for being as fragile as they are, yeah, I did enjoy everything that he put out. In fact, Survival Empire put up a video showing one of those. It wasn't a double main, but it had the Skyflix crackers. So I might have actually had that one, or I might not, but I did enjoy quite a few of those. Yeah, the pouch, when I pulled it out of the water, I could see the green layer peel off from the silver layer. In fact, here it is. It's folded because I squeezed it out. But this is the inside of that green layer. And then this is the outside of it. Then the silver layer, and then the clear layer underneath this. So that's why I decided that maybe I should go ahead and put the other one into the pot and put that one into a bowl for again, I just threw it into the fridge because I don't want my cat getting into it because of the onions and the garlic, and who knows what else in there that may not be good for cats, but I will dispose of it later. Yeah, and not only that, getting a facility to do that sort of a thing. I'm pushing down the peanut butter from one corner, and I'm going to cut a corner off. And I'm going to squeeze some of it onto the first strike bar. It will stand up to holding the peanut butter more than the crackers. The peanut is more finely chopped to make it easier to squeeze out of these pouches unless you just cut the top completely off. And look at the peanut butter by itself. More peanut flavor. Doesn't taste so sweet. Yeah, Bob Gaston. First it was MRE Nation, and then he transitioned that into Minotaur Trading Company, and he added additional items besides the rations, or he would incorporate other items such as ammo cans that were repainted and then a label put on them and made into kind of a survival kit, or as an example of, you could bury it as a survival cache. So I have that black ammo can, and it is a survival kit. I have that stashed here in my apartment. I don't have access right now to a place where I could bury a cache. But he also did cans with freeze-dried items in there, or he would make it like an accessory. I saved 2 of those cans. This was part of his take on the C ration. He would put his own label on the cans. That's among other things. And he had loose cans from MCIs. I bought a couple of them. I bought a B unit. And then he had some of the bread cans that would have been issued separately instead of being in the ration box. So I opened up that B unit. I think it was a B2. And then I opened up the bread. Unfortunately, the bread was not edible, but it was so cool to check that out and to see what soldiers in the field would have been given as an extra item to provide more calories. And then, yeah, he had customizable, where you could add items of your choice from the different categories, and I had done that. He even had some halal entrees. So both as MRE Nation and Minotaur Trading Company he had the customizable MREs. All MREs had their own version of that as well, but I don't think they were quite as varied as what Bob did. But what he did with some of his stuff is very innovative. He would incorporate foreign sourced items. The Skyflakes crackers, you can find those on Amazon. I have yet to buy any because they're a bit pricey, but you can find the Skyflakes crackers on Amazon. Then he also had started another one. It was supposed to be a charity type. And I ordered something off of that, but I never got it. And I got no communication. So I lost out on that one, but I figured I'm just going to let that one go. I'm not going to try anymore to find out what was up. So I just let that one go. Now these crackers are edible. They don't taste bad at all. I'll put a squirt of the peanut butter on here. And there's a better look at the peanut butter against the light color of the cracker. I definitely agree with that. I was looking on eBay, just poking around. And my 2026 pack halal case, that was less expensive than the older cases that others were selling. And then they wanted shipping, a high shipping charge, but I got free shipping on this halal case that I bought. So that's why I jumped on it. And this seller that I got the halal case from has case of the La Briute kosher certified. So the next time I'm in the hunt for rations, I may get a case of those kosher certified ones, because right now they're the only kosher certified ones I'm seeing, at least on eBay. MRE has not produced kosher or halal rations for quite some time. You won't find them on their site. I don't know what's going on with them, but I don't know if they just didn't sell. Because I was hoping to get a case of their halal ones and a case of their kosher ones, but no, that's not going to happen. Yeah, before La Briute, it was My Own Meals that was doing the kosher certified, and they had some of theirs halal certified as well. I got a case of those from CT, but that one did not have the menu variety as far as the mains go, because there were duplicates. I don't remember which one. I would have to go back through the unboxing of that case, but one of them, there was 5 of that one entree. and there was one of them, there was only one, but the variety of the entrees was not that great in that particular case that I got. Mike Crusher in the house. And Multi-Magnum slid in. Then this is not a 2019. This is a 2009. And the date code was written on with a marker. It was, although it was packed by Sopacko, it was not impressed into the bag. It was not ink stamped into the bag. That is a marker that someone did. And this had 2 cheese tortellinis in there. In fact, here, here are the 2 boxes. Both of these tortellinis are packed on the same day, but one was in worse shape than the other. One box is, this one was squished more, as you can tell by the side. And the pouch in there showed signs of the possibility of delamination. And when I took it out of the hot water, I thought, okay, I'll eat one tonight, and I'll save the other one for another time, maybe just a quick meal. But I took that one out of the pot. It started to peel. So I said, nope. So I grabbed the other tortellini, put that in the pot, turned the stove back on to heat that up. I opened that other one up into a bowl instead of onto my tray. So I got that bowl just in the fridge. I just put it in there because I didn't want my cat to get into it, even if she would go for that sort of thing. So I will dispose of that later. I am not so trusting of it. It didn't quite have the smell that this one does. I added Parmesan cheese to it, to this one. But these tortellinis are perfectly fine. The sauce is good. It just needed some parm. So I will dispose of that other tortellini. I hate to do it, but with the green layer of the pouch literally peeling off like you're peeling a sticker off of its backing. Yeah, that made me concerned, but when I took the pouch that this tortellini was in, when I took that pouch out of the water, that was perfect. No issues at all with it. It was just hard to get open because my fingers are slick. That pouch is still slick, so I ended up cutting a bigger notch and tearing it open. So the second pouch, the one that was in better condition, that is what I'm eating, and I'm very happy that this one was in much better shape than the other one. You know, the freeze-dried ones, those would definitely be the ones to stash away. In fact, I might have a couple of things from him that I've chosen not to open. I have some of the pilot crackers. I have some of those stashed away because those can be stored for long term because of the ingredient set that they're made from. You know, that when they're properly packaged, you know, vacuum sealed. I have some of those MRE Star Pilot breads. They're packed the same way. I'm going to be holding on to those because unlike these, those store quite a long time, kind of like hardtack would. Yeah, these crackers, the packet was a bit bent, so I knew they were going to break. I tried a bit of this chunky peanut butter on the apple cinnamon first strike bar, and that does work. Waffles, that is going to be so cool to watch. I haven't had any of the newest British rations. The most recent bag style is a tan Ziploc. No handle like the previous tan bag. I saw a case of those opened up by Sue of Eats, Treats, and MREs. I haven't seen much from her lately. I hope she does put some stuff out soon because she can get some stuff easily that we can't get here, which is a crapping shame. And this peanut butter, oop, I messed that up. 1.5 ounce packet. Chunky peanut butter. Nice roasted peanut flavor. Yeah, the box ORPs, I've only had a few of those. And then I had a couple of the British single meal rations that were in a clear bag. A tougher bag like the halal ration bags used to be, you know, the clear bag with the peelable seal. Not quite as tough as that, but a little tougher than your standard Ziploc bag. But I haven't had too many of the newest rations. I'd like to try some of the newer Canadian ones. And I definitely want some of the newest US MCWs. I want to get my paws on a few of those. Yeah, I have had some very good IMPs. I've done a couple of comparisons with US MREs with the same entree. I've only had a couple like that. The Canadian version was so much better. Thanks for dropping in, Mike. Hope to see you around another time. I think it's time to check out a couple of these M&Ms. I just bit one in half. The peanut still tastes perfectly fine in there. The chocolate has kind of lost its flavor a little bit. The outer shell kind of overpowers the chocolate. But otherwise, there's nothing wrong with those M&Ms. And while I was poking around on eBay today, I found some intact MCIs from a few different years. Finding a 1966 would be extremely hard, but I did put a few of those in my watch list. And then others were selling just loose items or the accessory packs from the MCIs. Some with the accessory packs opened, or maybe one was opened as a representation. But I would like to get at least one intact MCI just to have a look at it. Even if I can't eat anything out of it, just to look at it with these old eyeballs would be super cool. Yeah, I am looking to get an MCI. But of course, being that I was born in 1966, I'd love to have. That was a motorcycle just taking off down my street. My slider is closed because I got my air conditioner cycling on and off. But yeah, I wanted to wait till that motorcycle had gone by. But yeah, 1966 is my birth year, so it would be nice to have something from that year. I still have a bunch of 1966 dated mess kits in my watch list, so one of these days I'll drop some coin on one of those. I got several Polish mess kits. I got the military one that looks similar to the older Russian and German style. And I have a couple of different Polish scout mess kits and just the camping, civilian camping mess kit. I had two of those, and I traded one of those to Sticky Finger 749, no, 745, and he sent me heater meals. Unfortunately, that one had a problem, and I had to spend a lot of time cleaning up the mess that was caused by one of the items exploding, but I was able to salvage the rest. So I could do a review on that. I'd like to see some more stuff from him one of these days. Yeah, I'd like to try a few newer versions of the heater meals. It's like, just for the heck of it, I'm going to see if I can get a piece of cracker to kind of hold up this. At least some of it. Obviously that didn't work. It fell into the spot where I got my first strike bar. Thanks for dropping in, Waffles. Yeah, I think those heater meals are a really cool idea. They're great for, they'd be good for camping, or if you're going to an event where you have to, like several hours long and you need to supply your own food, but you really don't want to spend the money to go find a meal somewhere or hit up a food truck if there are any at that location. And yeah, their prices are going high too. But those heater meals will be perfect for that. And kids would probably go for those because of the contents of those. But I do know that later versions include a drink powder as opposed to like a juice box or a pouch like a Capri Sun pouch or a Kool-Aid Jammers pouch or anything like that. Less mess. Than the earlier versions of the heater meals, like the one that I got. I had to spend so much time to clean that up. Yeah, and of course tomorrow being Monday, how that can go. Yeah, I might look for those online. Of course, that will probably wait till maybe next year when I go after some of those. We had a school supply giveaway at my mosque yesterday, and a few of us adults are talking about different things. We're going to do another International Food Day, and I've been looking at some easy Polish recipes that would be simple to upsize the quantities. So we were talking about that, and so I was telling the second weekend of September is when I will be at the White Eagle Multicultural Powwow doing the kids' crafts, but I won't leave till after the Friday prayer. So that food day that we'll do at the mosque will probably be the 3rd Saturday in September. So I got a little time to decide which recipe I want to do and then get the ingredients for it. Oh, that's perfectly fine. I know that life happens. And remember, I still have those 2 MCI cans. I tried to clean the bread one out. Or maybe I only kept the B can. Maybe I don't remember if I tossed out the bread one or if I tried to clean it out. You are collecting those cans for this guy who does MCI reproductions. But I'm not sure if the way my can opener works with cutting the cans open, because I used it and it literally cuts on the side of the can. Like, I can show you with my Minotaur can. It cuts the side, so none of the top is left on the can. Some old tape, so this is what the lid looks like after I cut it off with my can opener, instead of the can opener going around inside the rim. It goes around underneath the lid, underneath the top, right under where the top joins the top of the lid joins the top of the can. And it could fit back on, but it wouldn't be a tight fit unless it's somehow soldered in place or glued. I don't use my military can openers. I just keep them. Actually, the one time I did use an Australian can opener that is not the Fred, it's a different type. It looks like the P51, but the blade is not collapsible, it stays out. I had a problem with a mango can, a mango pulp can at my mosque when I was making the mango lassi during Ramadan. And I couldn't, the pop tab on that can failed. And I couldn't get the can opener there that cuts the top of the can instead of right underneath the top seal. I couldn't get that to open the can, but I pulled that Aussie can opener out, and I was able to use that to open the can to get the mango pulp out. But I do keep my Fred on my keys. But that's the only time I've ever had to use one of those small can openers. But that is one reason why I keep the Fred on my keys, just in case I have an issue like that. But after that, it's probably the Ramadan or the next year, I donated a can opener that is designed for the number 10 cans. It's a crank instead of the knob you twist. The handles are longer. It opens wider. It spins those number 10 cans open as fast as you can use a regular can opener on a 15-ounce can. I have one of those here at home, but I donated one to the mosque. It has green handle, so it's easy to find. Try this again just for the heck of it. I do have that big behemoth that I got from Mike when I traded him the duplicate of the Ukrainian 24-hour ration. It was made, it was packed in Poland with components from OOOps. And yes, I'm using the correct Spanish pronunciation of that name. The J is pronounced like the H. So I pronounce it OOOps. Yep, they definitely are white, both sides, but they don't taste bad. They just are not very strong. So that's why I haven't really been putting too much of the peanut butter on them. Now here is the cinnamon gum. One of the pieces is a bit cracked around the edges of it. Yeah, it's definitely seen better days. The other piece looks in a bit better shape. And in my Germs MRE, this is the apple cider, the spiced apple cider. I was expecting to get coffee, but having that, yeah. I got the gum. I almost thought about holding on to it and then just getting an instant coffee from my stash, but no, I'm going to drink this. That's going to be good, and it is good. Unfortunately, it's just harder to see in that black mug. Thanks for dropping in, John. Hope to see you another time. I'm not much of a gum chewer, but I do hold on to all these ration gums because I figure one day I might have to use it. I might have to chew it for its intended purpose. I have the caffeinated gum. I got quite a few packets of that. I got the caffeinated mints. I save all of the hard candies that come in rations that are like the lifesavers. The last time I got lifesavers out of a US MRE, I decided to add those to my stash because that is a type of candy I store for long term. Same with the Canadian Tic Tacs. When I was on the Transit Rider Advisory Committee, someone would put 3 lifesavers at each person's place. Occasionally they had those little 4-count Tic Tac packets, but mostly it was the lifesavers. But I collected all of those and I added them to my stash. And whenever I got the Smarties out of either MRE Star or if Bob put them in the Minotaur or MRE Nation rations, I saved all of those. If I got the other ones that came from other countries, that would be called rockets or whatever instead of Smarties, but they're called a different name. I saved all those. Because those are the best candies to store for long term, so I add all those to my stash. Yeah, I used to eat them a lot when I was younger, but I still do like them. I just decided that I need to have something like that in my long-term food storage. They may come in handy as a morale booster for a family member, or it could be a barter item, or I may simply need a little bit of a calorie boost. That's why I hold on to those. The fruit lifesavers or the Brock's candies like the butterscotches or Jolly Ranchers or anything like that, I don't store those for long term. Yeah, the mints probably have less caffeine, but if you just need a little bit of a kick, they would probably do, plus the flavor of them. I did find some caffeinated mints on Amazon that are in uh, sealed tins. So I have several of those stashed away. They're about half the width of this peanut butter packet. Not quite as tall, maybe about up to here. But I have a few of those in my stash. But that's why I hold on to things like that. Because I never know when they may be needed. Either by me or someone else. And this peanut butter is good on this apple cinnamon first strike bar. I don't know why it works, but it does. And Copico is one brand that I've seen a lot. I can get those at Hillel Groceries. I had some cappuccino flavored ones. In fact, when I was last in Hillel Groceries on Thursday, I go in there on Thursdays because I went to talk to the two guys that are currently managing the store. They handle all the ordering of inventory and all that stuff. But I saw a bag of the Copico cappuccino candies hanging on one of those little strips that are put at the end of a shelf. You get those bags that have the hole in the top for hanging. I've seen those there. But I saw a bag of the Copico cappuccino ones hanging there. Plus, you can find those and a few other brands on Amazon. But I think the Kopik from Polish Rations, I think those are the best. Now, there's a Werther's that had a coffee flavored candy, and it was about the color of the peanut butter. It's not bad, but the Kopik from Polish Rations is my favorite coffee candy. Yeah, the chocolate first strike bar I do like that. I do like the mocha one. Yeah, I'm bummed that those have gone away, replaced by something that's not quite so good. One bummer about the peanut butter and the crackers, it is thirst provoking. At the recovery bar, unless there are other flavors that have been put out recently, the salted caramel one, I do like it, but I wish there would be other flavors. Some of these other newer bars, I haven't tried those yet. If they are in the C cars, I do intend to get some C cars. But I'm not going to buy a whole case since there are currently only 3 menus. I would just simply, I'll bite the bullet and buy just one of each of the menus. But those newer bars are probably in there. Yeah, definitely the cran raspberry. That one is the tops. This apple cinnamon is the lowest on my list for the first strike bars because I don't mind the texture. It's more like a cereal bar than the others. I think there's some different ingredients here than there are in the other ones. I could be wrong. But the apple cinnamon, sometimes you can get a good tasting one, sometimes not so much. I'm curious if anyone has ever found a first strike ration that has a similar menu to one of the C cars and then did a direct comparison between the two. I don't know if anyone has ever done that. I think that would be something cool to do if it could be, if the right first strike ration could be found to compare to one of the C cars. Yeah. I may buy some first strike rations in the future as well. Just because I like a lot of the items that are in there. I just squeezed some more of the peanut butter onto that first strike bar. And I'm going to go for a few more of these M&Ms. especially the LRPs with the popular menus like that beef and rice, or actually that beef and rice was that experimental brown bag LRP that I had once. It had a white label on the bag, or maybe it was white originally and kind of yellowed a bit, but some of the items in that one were not so great, but the main in that one was awesome. I really did enjoy that one. I might be able to get just enough. Squeeze on one more of these cracker bits over here. I think the other LRP that I had is a tan bag. It was an Asian style chicken and rice. That one, it might have been a different flavor, but I don't know. That one was really, really good too. Oh, by the way, Survival Empire mugs and the glasses that he uses, those look really cool. Are those in a merch store so people could buy those? Or do you just have stickers and you put them on your own cups and glasses? Because especially that kind of frosted coffee cup, that looks really cool with that sticker on it. Oh, cool. Yeah, now that I have a few mugs from other people, I think I'm going to start collecting more. And some of the mugs that I have up on my cup holder, may come down as I get new channel mugs. When I went to Jerem's merch store, I had to get his Ration Kitty one. That one was just too cool to pass up. But I got my replacement for an MRE mug. I have my Crusher mug, which replaced my black one that broke. The replacement is yellow inside, which is perfect for showing the dark colored powders that I may put into it. But I would like to have a few more channel mugs in my collection. Of course, I have my mug from a YouTuber who passed away several years ago. It was one of those heat activated ones where normally when it's cool or room temperature, it's black on the outside, much like this one would be. But if you put, it has to be boiling or near boiling liquid in it, then the black dissipates and reveals the pattern or the color underneath it. But over time, that black layer has faded a bit and it looks kind of like a charcoal colored surface. So you can see some of the logo from the GIG Preparedness channel. I won that mug from him in one of the giveaways that he used to have. But yeah, that color changing one, something has happened over the years since I originally got it, that the black layer has kind of faded a bit. But now that I have a few, I can switch them off. So tonight I wanted to bring the Ration Kitty out to play. I think next week I'm going to start that big behemoth that I got from Mike Crusher in that trade for the Ukrainian ration. Of course, he loaded up that box with a whole bunch of stuff, and then I in turn loaded it up when I sent it back to him. You know, he wrapped that box in another paper, so left the shipping box blank. So that made it easy for me to reuse that box to send the stuff to him. So that's what I did. But that big behemoth, I think I'm going to go ahead and start that one next week. That one will definitely get me 3 streams for sure. This one that I got from him will be different than the one that I bought off of seller on Facebook. So I'm looking forward to digging into that. Of course, that one will have some items in it that will be added to my stash. It'll have several drink powders that I will stash away for later use. Among other things that I don't feel the need to open up every single drink mix that's in a ration if there's like 5 or 6 of them. I think one hot and one cold per meal is sufficient. And then I can save the rest for another time when I need to add one, in case I get a ration that either doesn't have a drink powder or it's too messed up to use. Thanks for dropping in, Smokey. I hope to see you in another one of my streams. And if you still want those empty MCI cans, if I still have both of them, I know I have one for sure. I'd have to look to see if I still have the bread can, but if you're still interested in that B2 can, I can send it to you. Just let me know. Chomp down some more of these M&Ms. I'm sure glad they held up really good. In a few years, these are probably starting to go south, but tonight, they will be enjoyed. Another thing I do have that I got out of an older ration is one of those recalled shake pouches. when I saw the date code on that, I'm thinking this might be in that recall. So I decided to hold on to it. I have that packet is unopened, and I have it in a Ziploc bag. It's a huge pouch for the amount of powder that is in there. That predates the shaker pouches that we know of today. So I'm holding on to that one. So that pouch will never be opened up. I'll just be sitting on it for who knows how long. When I got that corned beef hash MRE from Art and Nina, they included a Tabasco bottle, but instead of your standard Tabasco label, it has one that says "Fire It Up" or something like that. I keep that one separate from my other mini hot sauce bottles. I've never seen one like that, so I want to hold on to that one. I have a few of the Hot Diggity Dog bottles from British ORPs. I have never used any of those. I did send one off. I think I sent one to Mike. Those are about double the capacity of the Tabasco bottles. I might have to come up with something where I am opening up both of those. I still want to do a video on the powdered seasonings like the hot sauce powder, the picante powder, and then I have just the regular red pepper flake. And I have something in my kitchen that I can use for that comparison, because it'll make enough where I can divide it into 3 decent sized portions and then put each one of those onto one of those portions so I can taste them. I might have something that I might have either a drink that I could take a sip of in between bites of those when I'm making the first taste. Or I might have a cracker, a piece of bread or something as a palate cleanser, I suppose. But I still want to do that. I've got those packets in there with the item that I want to put them on. I just need to figure out how I'm going to film it, because it will not be a live. I'll just have to shoot individual video segments and then splice them together in a video editor. But I do want to get that done. So that may happen this month. And it looks like Pumpkin has decided to make her appearance. Pumpkin! Pumpkin! What's on your little kitty mind, Pumpkin? What's on your little kitty mind? I moved my table over so that when she passes by, you might get a better glimpse of her. And she likes to walk underneath the chair that I'm sitting on. Don't you, Pumpkin? And you like to meow just so you can hear yourself? Huh, Pumpkin? Like to meow just so you can hear yourself? Silly little torty girl. Yeah, she's approximately 9 years old. I got her when she was 2. Occasionally I will post pictures and reels on Facebook and some shorts here on YouTube of her doing stuff. Her former human servants get to see those. Plus, I just like showing her off. Just like I did when Mila was with me. But now Pumpkin's gone off to either go back to sleep or who knows what she's going to do. But Mila was still alive when Pumpkin came in, and Mila did not take too kindly to Pumpkin's presence, but I think Pumpkin was just starting to get used to her when Mila really started to go downhill health-wise, and I decided that, oh, I can't let her suffer like that, so I took her to the Animal Rescue League to have them send her across the Rainbow Bridge. But I keep her profile picture, I keep her as my profile picture because she was that special a cat. And Smokey's going through a loss of his very special cat that was with him a long time. So that's why he was not live last night, because he had to deal with that loss of his cat. But in the post last night, he said he would pick another day in the week to do a makeup stream. But that's why you always see the tuxedo cat face, because Mila was just that special. And I don't want to change it because I'm afraid that might make people think that there's a faker going on, stealing my channel stuff. I don't want anyone to think that there's a fake account. If I change my profile pictures, I may change the picture of Mila, but it will always be Mila. Again, for those that have come in late who may not have been in putting in anything into the chat, I originally thought this menu 13 cheese tortellini was 2019 because of the date code and the back style, but this date code was written on the bag with a marker instead of ink stamped or impressed, which normally would be what Sopacko does. Somehow this bag missed the date code. Someone had to write it on there. So this is in fact a 2009 because the entrees came in a box like this, and there are two of these cheese tortellini boxes. I just stuffed the trash into both of these. So two cheese tortellinis in there. The one that was in this crushed box, the pouch was compromised and it started to delaminate in the pot, and then when I got it out to open it up, then the green layer literally peeled itself from the silver layer. So nope. So I went and tossed the other tortellini in the pot, turned the stove back on, and that is what I ate instead of the first one. So that one, I had emptied that retort pouch into a bowl instead of onto the tray because I didn't want to take the chance of any possible contamination getting into what I would actually end up eating. So I emptied that into a bowl, and I just threw that bowl into the fridge after I put the second retort pouch into the pot to start heating that up. So I did that. I threw it in the fridge because I didn't want pumpkin to get into it, because there are ingredients in there that cats should not eat, like onion and garlic and probably some other stuff that is not good for cats. So I just threw that in the fridge to cool it off, and I'll probably end up dumping that. No, that's not for kitties. Pumpkin on. I had this cup that I had the Parmesan cheese in sitting in this thing, and I had it on her platform. She started messing with that cup, and I said, nope. That's not for kitties, Pumpkin. No, that's not. Silly little girl. I heard this clicking sound, and she was actually pawing at this. I'll put that over there. So as I said, I have that in the fridge, and I will probably just scoop it into a Ziploc bag and put that into the trash. As much as I can't stand to waste food, I just don't want to take any chances with it. But this lemonade, even though it is an artificial sweetener based drink, it's perfectly fine. The spiced apple cider, absolutely nothing wrong with it. I think it should make a comeback. If the ration packers are not going to put coffee in a ration, they can put that. That would be a big hit, I think. Wow, that's a good number of years for that dog to live. There's a a woman I am Facebook friends with up in Ontario. She made Facebook pages for some of her previous cats. I never did a specific page for Mila. But I just have all kinds of pictures and videos of her on my Facebook page. I have one that I created that's for Spanish speakers. But I really haven't used that one much. I have a Facebook group that I created for Spanish-speaking Muslims. But then I never created a page specific for Mila. Any pets that I have, they just go on my main Facebook, and then that's pretty much it. Oh, there's a date code on the seasoning packet. 9022. This packet looks in really good shape. The ingredients in this: onion, garlic, it says spices, carrot, orange peel, parsley, tomato, red bell pepper, citric acid, soybean oil, could have done without that, with natural flavors, maltodextrin, probably could have done without that, and lemon juice solid. Basically freeze-dried lemon juice. But that's what's in this salt-free seasoning packet. This will go into a bag that I have that contains seasonings from Rations. So anytime I get salt or pepper, anything like that from Rations, I don't use them. I add them to my collection. And the gum goes into a Ziploc bag with other gums that I got from Rations, and I have the Canadian Tic Tacs in there. And I got bags that I have the rear rolls in. This is what the wet wipe, the moist towelette was like back in 2009, 2008, 2009. And this is the back of that one. That one feels like it is still perfectly usable. Now this is a salt packet that should stay in the MREs, not those minuscule things where you maybe get a half a gram of salt if you're lucky. Diamond Crystal did the salt packets back in 2009. They're out of Savannah, Georgia. All of those will go into my stash. I got a bag for the matches. So I've been collecting all these matches from Rations. The moist toilet fellows, I was putting the matchbook back up there. But all those go into my stash. I saved the beverage bags. I do not use them for their intended purpose, but they are still good for storage if you want to keep small things dry. I have some of them. I got the instant coffee sticks in a few of them. I have the Canadian mints, the moist, or those compressed towels in a Canadian beverage bag. And I'm using another one. I have all of the little honey packets that I got out of Rations. I have those in a beverage bag. So they're good for organizing things. But as far as putting liquids in them, I don't think I want to trust them for that, especially the older ones. I'll just use them for dry storage or organizing. When I was first doing this, I was using the ration heaters. I had one of those bags actually spring a leak. And it's a good thing I had those Chinese foam bags from their ration heaters. I put the FRH in it to try to retain the heat and make it more comfortable to handle. But it's a good thing I put it in that foam bag because the heater bag sprung a leak and most of the water had leaked out of it. So it's a good thing I saved those foam bags. I have a couple others stashed in another place, but I have 3 more from I have a few more from the more recent Chinese rations that I've reviewed. They're great insulators to put these in if you want to try to keep some of the heat inside. You know, Paul's gear review, what he does, he's got this pouch that someone had made for him that has the reflectix inside it. He puts the FRH inside of that, and then that keeps the heat inside and actually makes the FRH work better. So the food is actually hotter when he takes it out. But those foam bags that I saved from the Chinese rations are definitely good for that. Plus, they could insulate other things as well, so that's why I chose to keep them. So as long as they don't become holy, I will hold on to them and keep them out of the landfill that much longer. But I am going to hold on to this FRH because who knows if I need to use it. I throw some salt in there, or maybe mix up some salt water, throw that in there. Might help it kick off. Or I could simply use it as a body warmer. So I do save these, just like I save these beverage bags. And the spoon will go into my bag of plastic spoons. So that way, if I have to restrict my water use and not use so much water for washing dishes, then I can go to all of my plastic utensils. And then I can simply dispose of them. Even though it creates more trash than I would want to, but you know, when crap hits a fan, you're just going to have to do stuff different than you would normally like. But that's why I save them. And in the past, when I've gotten boxed lunches, either at an event or when I was on the Transit Rider Advisory Committee, we would get lunch. I still attend the meetings, but because I'm not a member, I don't get the lunch. But if there's a utensil in there that I did not use, I simply tucked it away in my bag, along with the notepad and the pens that were placed at every member's seat. And some used them, some didn't. But I always took those notepads and those pens because I saw that as an opportunity to build up my stash of paper to write on and pens to write with. And speaking of writing things, those pencils that I bought from the thrift store were added to what was given away at our school supply giveaway at the mosque yesterday. They were packs, they were bundles of 12, and I had 2 of those. So that way, the people who pack those backpacks with the notebooks and crayons and whatever, they had some extra pencils to add, and they were packed according to whether the kids were elementary school grades or middle school or high school. They would get slightly different items in the backpack, and for the elementary grades they would be slightly smaller backpacks, you know, for smaller kids. But I added those 12 pencils to what they could use to put in those backpacks. We didn't give every single one away yesterday, but we have weekend religious education at the mosque, so today possibly more of those may have been given away. And we had snack bags that were prepared, so each kid got a backpack and a snack bag. And so we had extras of those that were not handed out yesterday, so they got handed out today. And we talked about starting to collect supplies for next year. And I suggested that once school starts, stores may be discounting their school supplies just to clear them out of inventory so that they can make room for the next round of seasonal stock. You know, school supplies will be replaced by Halloween stuff. When it comes to seasonal items, and then you'll just find school supplies in their normal section instead of huge extra shelves or boxes or however they're arranged. But yeah, stores may discount those. Having worked in retail, I do know that was the practice. So once they get discounted to sell out to make room for new inventory, that would be the time to stock up. So I suggested that to some of the other adults, and they like that idea. And if you're want to add stuff like that to your preps, that would be a good time to stock up. In fact, yesterday one of the women wanted a notepad or some paper to write down some phone numbers. So I gave her my little notepad that I keep in my daily bag, that messenger bag that I use as a purse. So I just let her keep that little notepad. I'll just replace it with another one. That way she can have something to write on, because she's always forgetting to have something like that on hers. But I just let her keep that, and I'll just replace it next time I go shopping for stuff like that. But I also carry just single pieces of scrap paper. When I get an invoice, if there's a big area of blank paper on that sheet, I'll cut away anything that has writing on it, and then I'll keep that piece that'll be about maybe sometimes I can get a piece about like this. That's good enough for a piece of scratch paper, so I may carry a few sheets of that around in there, in that bag. So I cut out those bits and I save them. I guess she knows I'm good for paper because she knows I'm prepared. But maybe that will prompt her to just keep that in her bag all the time. That way she has access to it, and when it runs out, get another notepad. Next month it should be a whole lot cheaper, or whenever stores choose to put their excess school supply inventory on sale. Get the big bulk packs of pens and pencils, all types of notebooks and computer paper and stuff like that. Yeah. I'm going to be loading up on. I'll probably buy several of those little pocket notepads that are about the size of the Write in the Rain notepads. But these are just the regular paper ones that I get because I want to save my Write in the Rain notepads for when I actually need something like that. But that is definitely a good time to stock up on school or office supplies because you'll get all of that stuff discounted. You know, tape like this, or packaging tape, or markers, paper clips, staples, highlighters, anything like that. A lot of school supply lists, especially for the youngest grades, they will want the kids to have those bottles of that school glue. I found some of those in a thrift store. I bought 2 of those bottles. I left 2 for. I'll be taking those to the powwow along with the box of crayons and that bottle of blue tempera paint. So I was on the hunt for craft supplies there, and there really wasn't a whole lot available. So I picked up what I could, and then I decided I'll find a few other things. But I wanted pencils for the school supply giveaway at the mosque, so I grabbed those 2 bundles of 12. I will help them out later on with additional stuff throughout the year. I'll put them in a bag and say, this is for the next school supply giveaway. So when I get my money for next month, I may not buy any rations since I'm good on them for a while. I still have 2 more 22-pack MREs plus the behemoth I'll start on next month. Or not next month, but next Sunday I'll get into that big one I got from my crusher. Now I have the halal MREs. I'll get into some of those. And once I have eaten a few of those, I may make that my main ration storage box and retire the Sopacko low sodium box that was packed in 2012. That box has seen better days. But it'll still hold on for a few more weeks until I have eaten enough of the halal MREs to make room for any other rations that I might want to put in there. So in November, I will definitely be on the hunt for more rations. It depends on what I'm looking for, what is available that is already in the U.S., because I don't want to take any chances on anything coming from outside of the U.S., even if it's a U.S. ration. If it's shipped from another country, I don't want to take any chances. I did get away with a halal MRE that was shipped from Lithuania. That one did not get messed with. But I look for stuff that is already in the U.S. Like I said, I will get some C cars, and I'll try to get some first strike rations simply because I want to have some of those. Even if it's just for my personal use. Because I like a lot of the stuff that's in those. Some of them not quite so much, but I want to get some while I still can. And that apple cider, that needs to make a comeback. That would be a real morale booster to the soldier in the field, especially if it's cool. Winter will be coming. Sometime. And speaking of winter, that flannel shirt that I got off of eBay along with another item, I got that oversized intentionally so that I could layer with it. I could wear a thermal shirt underneath it as a base layer and then that flannel shirt on top. So that's why I intentionally got that one oversized. And then yesterday when we were putting things away after we ended the school supply giveaway, there was a box with pairs of socks in it. So we were handing out socks, some of them small size. There was even a baby cap in there. But I was teasing one of the others about, there's some really cute socks in there, but they're not my size. So I was handed a pair of the socks. You can have a pair of socks. Okay. So I decided to add those socks to my backup stash of socks. I have quite a few pairs of socks stashed away that I will not wear until I need to get into those. Should some of my other socks wear out. In fact, this pair that I came home with yesterday happened to be exactly like some that I already have that I bought myself. And then someone had left a pair of these socks out on in the driveway of the building, the apartment building. How they ended up out there, I don't know, but they'd been out there for a couple of days, so I brought them in, washed them. They came out pretty clean, so I cleaned them. But I have several pairs of socks stashed away. I got several pairs of other undergarments stashed away. And those t-shirts, those long sleeve t-shirts that I bought, those are an upgrade. Plus to have some additional colors of the long sleeve t-shirts that I will wear underneath something that is not long sleeve. because I cover myself for modesty. So I will slowly be replacing some of my t-shirts that have already started to go to crap. But I will do that slowly over time. I live on a limited income, so I can't go dropping a couple thousand in one shot on anything. So I do a bit here, I do a bit there. That's just how I do it. I finished everything that I planned on eating tonight. At first I thought, well, am I going to eat? Should I open up both of these pouches of the tortellini and then just have a huge dinner? No, I was really hoping that I could save one for later. And as the way it turned out, nope. The first one was messed up, so I heated up the second one, and that's what I ate. But for 2009, everything else is pretty darn good. The crackers were okay. I obviously ate them. Some of the chocolate flavor had gone from the M&Ms, but the peanuts inside were still good. The outer coating of the M&Ms looked perfect. But I am bummed about the second, or that first tortellini pouch I opened up. But that's the way it goes. You never know what you're going to get when you open up a ration and you can't see the inside until you open that bag or that box. But again, I will change the date that I listed in the title to 2009, because I have it as a 2019, but currently this back style started in 2008. So that was a transition to this particular bag style where there are 3 different patterns available. And of course, back in 2013 or so, they did away with these boxes. And then I will put the thumbnail in afterwards. And now that I have a screen recorder, I can do a test. I'll have to play with that just to see how it works before I actually use it to do the setup for a stream, but I would not go live. I just want to document the process of what's going on, why I cannot add a thumbnail from my phone. When just a few weeks ago, I was able to do that the Sunday after I came back from the lake. I was able to add the thumbnail from my phone. And then the week after I was able to do that. But then the last 2 weeks, last week and tonight, I could not do that. So that's a problem that will have to be solved. So I will be dealing with that as well. And then today's someone was supposed to call me to do a phone interview on a subject, but that person never did. So I don't know what's up with that. So maybe that idea will go down the crapper as well. I will not record it. Because I am the guest, or I'm the person to be interviewed, so I will not record that. Unlike one I did another time where I did record it for a person who wanted the recording but could not do it themselves, so I did it and then I sent them the link to the video, which only shows the screen and nothing else. Because that's the way I was able to do it at that time. But I think I'm going to go ahead and close this one out for now. I will also put in the description that there are 2 cheese tortellinis in there, that something else may have been omitted. According to the chat, there was supposed to be a fruit in there. But there was an oops on the packing line. So I'll mention something like that in the description. But next week, it'll be that big behemoth from Mike Crusher. So I will use his mug when I get into that one. So the first meal of that big bag of awesomeness will be next Sunday, 7 p.m. U.S. Central Time. That's when I do these. Although the second Sunday of September, I will not go live because I will not know when I will be coming back from Jester Park where the White Eagle Powwow takes place. I may simply have too much to do putting my stuff away when I get back, because I always take a load of stuff there because I have craft supplies. Because I sleep in a teepee, I can take my cot and my air mattress and my mattress pump. And I will be taking a small power station to use inside the teepee for my craft partner and I to charge phones with, and if I have to charge my headlamp, which I haven't had to do that yet because I'm obviously only using it at night. I'm using red most of the time. Plus I also take power banks, but I'm going to take my OOOps power station in case extra power is needed for a spot where there is no outlet. I'll deal with that later. But I'm going to go ahead and call this one good for now. I want to thank you all for hanging out with me tonight for this dive back in time. And I will make the appropriate corrections and description additions to reflect 2009 instead of 2019. So for those who have watched for the first time but not yet chatted, again, I do this every Sunday, unless otherwise stated, at 7 p.m. U.S. Central Time, because that's my time zone here in Iowa. Thanks for watching, and catch you on the flip side.